first 2 weeks of the men's VNL has been absolutely nuts. There have been more 5-setters than I can even count. Some teams have been winning them all, some teams have been losing them all. But 72 games of volleyball have been played so far. That's a lot to keep track of, I know. But don't worry, that's why I'm here. I'm going to break down everything that's happened so far, all the storylines, all the dramas, all of the things at the men's VNL so far in the first 2 weeks. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with a couple of teams that I'm just keeping my eyes on for various different reasons as we head towards the playoffs. First up, Japan. There's really only one team that you can start with in a video like this, and that's Japan, because they have been so good so far. They're the leaders of the table, and they are silver medalists from the 2024 VNL. They did finish 6th last season, so there maybe weren't high expectations coming into this season, but anything that there was has been completely blown out of the water. They're undefeated so far, 8 from 8, and they've had some crazy matches. Half of their matches so far have been 5-setters, including an insane reverse sweep over France in France to maintain that unbeaten record in week 2. They're without their starting setter, Sekita, this summer. He's out with an ankle injury, but Fukatsu has stepped up big time, and the results kind of speak for themselves. Ishikawa has cemented himself in week number 2 as the all-time best scorer of the VNL, and Nishida right behind as the second top scorer. The big worry for Japan is probably going to be the fatigue and rest if they're playing those same players over and over again. They're clearly doing well under pressure. They're winning a lot of those 5th sets, but that's certainly going to be taking a toll on them physically. Lots of volleyball still to be played, so I'm curious whether Japan rests some of those players or if they just keep on going full steam ahead. We will see. We'll see how good the depth is. Depth is king when it comes to volleyball. How deep is their bench? How deep is your bench? I did karaoke last night. I clearly don't have any singing chops. Another team that I'm going to be watching for very different reasons is France. France are the double Olympic champions. They won the VNL in 2022 and in 2024. Last season they finished 5th. Not a great result, but after 2 weeks of the VNL, they're only on 4 wins. And they're in danger of not even making playoffs. They got off to a great start by beating Italy in 5, but then they proceeded to lose all 3 of their next matches, which you think they would have won. Canada, Turkey, and Germany, winning just 2 sets across those entire 3 games. Week 2, things started to get a little bit better. Of course, they were at home. They went 3 from 4, losing only that 5-set thriller that we mentioned to Japan. They're missing a few of their big names, of course, Skribenikov, they're missing Patry, and I don't know what the squad's going to look like in week number 3, but it's going to be tough going for them in Chicago, because they're going to have to face Brazil, Poland, and Bulgaria. So my question is, can France pick up a couple more wins? Can they secure themselves place in the playoffs, or is it going to be curtains for the Olympic champions? Next up, and this one hurts my heart a little bit, a team that has 0 wins and it is in very grave danger of relegation at the end of the season, and that's Cuba. Cuba have some superstar players like Simon, but he was missing in week number 1, and when he came back, you could see a massive difference. But again, he's only a middle, can't change everything, unfortunately. You know I love me some middles, but we're not out here scoring all the points. It is wild though that still after 20 years, he's still that good. Cuba have had some bad luck involving eligibility, involving some funding, but for a team that finished 7th last season, I'm surprised it's been so hard for them to get a win. But to make things even worse, their middle blocker Concepcion went down with a horrific injury last week. We wish him all of the best and a speedy recovery, but it just feels like Cuba's just got a lot of bad luck recently. I'm sending all the good vibes to this team because they are so fun to watch. They are jumping higher than anyone else. They are hitting harder. It would just be a huge loss to the VNL if they end up relegated at the end of the season. Stop right there before we go any further. If you like this kind of content, let the algorithm know. You can give it a thumbs up, you can subscribe, you'll be the first to know about any kind of giveaways that we're doing this summer, and I'm going to be on site with the VNL every single week doing commentary, so if you follow Volleyverse on Instagram or on TikTok or on both, you're going to see some fun behind the scenes content. You might even get some exclusive chats with some of the players. Fingers crossed, if we're lucky. And the Volleyverse Hub is open for business. You can vote on your favorite players, on some match outcomes, MVPs, etc. So, now you know. Back to the video. So those are the teams that I am keeping my eagle eyes on, but there's a lot else going on. So let's just have a look at the rest of the table, shall we? So after Japan, right up there at the top, you have USA, Poland, and Slovenia, all with 6 wins apiece. USA are typically a very strong team. They made it to the final in 22 and 23, but they didn't even make it to the playoffs the last 2 years running. So they'll be chuffed to be right back up there where they are expected to be, where their expectations are set for themselves. Maybe. I don't know. This team's been fun to watch because they've had a couple of viral moments so far. Merrick McHenry, for example, jumping higher than any VNL spike has been recorded in history. I think it was like 3.5 meters high. Micah Ma'a getting hit in the face off of a block by his opponent when he was out of bounds. I know you saw that clip. I know you did. And then Eric Shoji, for example, as libero, serving. He didn't get an ace like Peter Panoy did on the women's side, but still, we haven't seen him serving since like 2008. So big moment for USA Volleyball. And just volleyball in general. We love these things. Poland are, of course, the reigning VNL champions, and Gerbic has been mixing up his squad. He started off with a lot of youngsters, and he's been kind of bringing back, slowly but surely, some of his veterans, like Wilfredo Leon, for example, who was really fun to watch in Poland this week. Or last week, whatever day it is that you're watching this, week number 2. I've dubbed this team the Comeback Kings because they've had 2 reverse sweeps already. And they've lost every first set except during one match. They did go undefeated at home because they bounced back from that first set loss to Argentina that went an insane hour-long 50-48. The longest set in VNL history. And I was on the mic for that one. And let me tell you, it was intense, to say the least. I thought it would never end. And that was a crazy day of volleyball, by the way, June 28th, because that same day, 2 other matches entered the list of longest VNL matches in history. Brazil, Canada, and Japan, France. And keep in mind that Japan, France one was in France where there was a heat wave and they didn't have air conditioning in the gym and they had to have extra breaks because it was just too hot and players might have died. So yeah, imagine going a real long match in there. That must have been awful. Anyway, wild. I haven't seen a whole lot from Slovenia because they were not in Brasilia, nor were they in Poland. But I do know that they have this young stud, Nick Mojanovic, who has been absolutely killing it for them. There was one match where he had 37 points. I mean, those are crazy numbers. I think that's the 4th highest in VNL history. Following them up, you have Ukraine, Italy, Turkey, Bulgaria, and Brazil. Ukraine, it feels like they're punching way above their weight after having just missed out on the finals last summer when they were newcomers in the VNL. This summer, they took Poland to 5. They beat Brazil, who are world ranked number 6, and they beat Italy, who are world ranked number 2. Those are some big wins. Big upsets this week for Ukraine. Huge. Italy are missing some of their big names this summer so far. No Micheletto, no Gianelli, which is kind of why you're seeing them middle of the pack. Not great, also not terrible. They're just right there. Turkey, now they put up some impressive performances. A sweep versus France, then beating Argentina and Canada in 5. They also lost a 5-setter to Poland, and they cracked into the top 10 of the FIVB world ranking for the first time in history. Big week for Turkey. Bulgaria, they're always fun to watch. They have the Nikolov brothers, of course, who have been serving up a storm. 23 aces between them. I think they're ranked 3rd and 4th in the competition, respectively. I mean, what is in the water with those Nikolov brothers? I'm telling you. Brazil only got 1 win in week 2 after going undefeated at home in Brasilia. Massive drop off there. And they still have yet to play France, USA, and Poland in week 3. So that's going to be a difficult week for them. They're actually in danger of not making the playoffs for, I believe, the first time ever. Then you've got Germany and Serbia all on 4 wins, as well as France, who we spoke about. Then as you keep going down, you've got Belgium, Iran, Argentina. Ferrer Reggers of Belgium has been insane this VNL. There was one standout performance where he tied the best ever, highest scoring VNL match in history with 38 points. Overall, he's the top scorer of the competition. He is right up there with Nikolov of Bulgaria and Ran Takahashi of Japan. Canada are probably feeling pretty rough because they lost 5 5-setters in a row. So if you swapped Canada's record for Japan's, they would actually be sitting in 2nd place right now if they had won all those 5-setters. It's wild, but that's not the way it happened. So Canada down at the bottom and in danger of relegation. China, it really doesn't matter where they finish. Of course, they are hosting the playoffs, so they have a spot in that top 8. No matter what. So there you go. That's the first 2 weeks of the VNL done and dusted. There are some tight spots. I mean, that race is always so tight right there for playoffs in between that, 7th, 8th, 9th spot. There's going to be some heartbreak, but also some excitement. I'm curious to see if Japan can hold on to this unbeaten record, but if not, who's going to be the first to take a win off of them? Can France turn it around? Can they get themselves into the playoffs? Canada, can they win a 5-setter? And can Cuba get a couple of wins and avoid relegation? That's what's been going on in the men's VNL so far. You are now all caught up. And we are finally headed into the final week. This is going to be the decider for the playoffs, so you're not going to want to miss any of it. Any of it. Some of it. Maybe just a little bit. But just try to watch as much as you can. I'm going to be in Osaka talking about volleyball, but also eating all the sushi possible. So make sure to tune into Volleyverse if you want to catch some updates and some behind the scenes as per usual. But until then, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Ooh, I should probably start that again because I'm just talking all over the place at this point. Okay, what else? Very grave. So good. And wild. You can't. Huge. Can it? Okay. I'm tired today. I'm tired every day. I'm always tired.